Did you know with jewelry making, less is more? Follow along this video to see how we made this aquamarine and flower agate bracelet. And I got a special treat at the end of this video for you as well. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is grab your bead board, or if you're just using a piece of fabric or a container, lay out all the supplies that you're using. And then you can begin kind of playing around with laying out your beads to see what pattern you like. So this is the pattern that I chose. We did some aquamarine beads. These are our flower agate heshy shaped beads. I put in some cute little tiny saucers in between, and one nice big bead which has a nice size hole that I'm going to be hiding the knot in at the end. So once you kind of laid out your thing, you're going to want to look at your pattern and see what you want to create. That is totally entirely up to you. If you want to do, you know, even just a solid gemstone bracelet, you can add just kind of a couple little spacer beads. The pattern is totally up to you. Usually I find the less colors, the better it will look. If you add in too many things, then it gets a little loud looking. So less is more usually I find with jewelry, but to each their own. Once you have your pattern created, the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and string it up. My favorite thing to use for stringing is our crystal thread. That is just a solid clear thread. It doesn't have any fibers or anything like that. I find it really strong. The knot is a little bit special to make sure you don't have it slide apart. So that's why some people don't like this, is because the knot slides out, but if you do it my method, it won't fail. So when we're stringing it up, I'm gonna start with the bead that I'm hoping to hide the knot in. If you don't start with it, then your knot won't end beside it, and then you won't hide your knot. So we're gonna put that guy on there first. And now we're going to speed through getting all these onto the string. Okay, so after getting all of our beads strung up, I like to actually kind of hold the strings together. Don't use your nail ever and pinch. You never want to pinch on hard on the stretchy cord, but I just use the tips of my fingers and I kind of just swirl it around. And then it gives me a perspective to see what the bracelet looks like. I don't know how many times I've strung a bracelet, thought it looked great on the bead boards, strung it up, and then made it into a circle and put it on my wrist and went, ew, that's not it. So for some reason it looks sometimes different, but I am quite happy with this pattern. So we're gonna carry on with getting this tied up. This is also a great way to try it on to make sure it fits the way that you want. I have my beadboard marked here for my size on these two lines, so I just know if I fill in that exact space, that's my size. Say if you were making it for someone else, then this is a great way that you could try it on them while you're holding it tight to make sure it fits them. Okay, so then the next thing we're gonna do is tie this knot. So I tend to work on my spool of stretchy so that this way if I lift up my beads, they're not going to all go flying off the end of the string. So I never really pre-cut my string. I'm going to slide them down to the end, so I have about 2 inches on the end, and we're going to go ahead and cut the rest of that off now. And we're going to go ahead and tie that knot. So we're going to start with both strings and go one over top of the other. Just a traditional granny knot, and then one over top of the other. So I usually keep my finger kind of tight in there just to make sure that everything stays snug, and then I'll slowly, while I'm pulling nice and hard, you can see the tension, bloop, slide it out so that I can get that knot nice and snug. So here's once again that important part: never use your fingertips to pinch right in the inside where the string is going to stay. So you're going to shrink that knot, so pull it gently as much as you can. And now here's kind of my next trick, is you're going to put these 2 strings together and we're going to do one more knot. So I put my finger right here and I'm going to feed this over my fingertip through the bracelet. And now you're going to go through the loop that is over top of your finger. So I'm holding here. Typically I just kind of hold the 2 and then I lift this up and I go through that loop. Okay. And then pull snug. So same thing, you want to kind of really gently but tightly pull it snug. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you don't want it too loose, but just don't use your fingernails. pull it, and that's good. So the reason I do that second knot is that when a bracelet is getting stretched this way, if you just have that double crossover granny knot, the way that that knot style is will let go of the tension by pulling this way. So with this knot, the tension is now getting pulled out this way. So when you're pulling on it, a lot of times you're actually pulling that knot tighter as you go. That being said, this stretchy cord definitely likes to slide on itself. So we're gonna go ahead and secure the knot with some crazy glue. Okay, sorry, I wasn't open yet, so I had to go ahead and do that. So you're going to grab the knot gently, not with the fingertips, and pull it out a little bit. This part kind of takes a little practice. Maybe you get someone to help you. I kind of like use these back fingers and wrap it around, say my ring finger, and use my other fingers to kind of help try and hold it. I know it looks kind of strange. Give it a try. If not, you could always get someone to help. You don't want this knot touching these beads while you're gluing it, because then it's going to stick to there. And I find the bracelet has less flow when the beads are glued physically together to the knot. Once you have that pulled apart, then you're just going to kind of rub a little bit of crazy glue all over the knot. You don't need a ton because it's very liquidy. It does just kind of spread all into those gaps. And then you're going to go ahead and let it dry. With crazy glue, it's good if you can kind of blow on it with some warm air. That will help dry it, as crazy glue is bonded with moisture. Okay, now that that knot is nice and dry, you're going to go ahead and cut it nice and close. Not like right against the knot, because you don't want to risk cutting that knot, but like leave 1 to 2 millimeter gap. You don't need a lot once it's been glued. And then we're going to try and stuff this knot into this spacer bead. You can leave your knot visible, but I find that it kind of makes your bracelet stick out funny. So if you can mostly even get a good chunk of it kind of stuck into a bead, then just makes that sit a little nicer so it doesn't kind of go like, I find if I put it between these two beads, it would kind of sit sideways like this. So getting it kind of tucked even mostly away helps. There we go. I think I got it in now. It disappeared, and there we have our new bracelet. So if you like this tutorial, you can follow us and follow along for more. We got lots of jewelry projects always on the go. If you like the beads that we use, they are available in the description below. You can see what supplies we used and follow along for more. One more thing, I also forgot, I'm going to link in the description for you guys our free 8-page tutorial on bracelet making if you want some more tips and tricks on like the design of it and what kind of shapes and styles to make things. It's a great resource, so be sure to download that as well.